Let's pay homage to the Blessed One, Supremely Enlightened Buddha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let's pay homage to our teacher, Pinnarluk Swami Mahanse. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, Arahant Sariputta Bhante was explaining factors of noble disciple, saying that the household Anathapindika was having all of those factors in his life. So, if you can remember some of those, do you remember? And because an ordinary person does not have those factors, he is in the danger of being reborn in a place of misery after death. But a noble disciple is different. A noble disciple's life, these factors, these noble factors are found, right? So as a result, after death, he is not going to be reborn in a bad destination. He's not going to be reborn in hell. He's not going to be reborn in a painful place. He is in the path of attaining stages of enlightenment. So these are those powerful factors. What is the first one? Buddhe avecchapasado, right? So unshakable confidence in the Buddha. And we'll discuss about this, how this, and this is a result. This is you cannot achieve this by mere faith or by a wish. This is a result, natural result of understanding the basic things in the Dhamma explained by the Buddha. When you learn them, when you study them, and when you investigate the meaning, when you apply some Dhamma to your life, this will come naturally, right? The unshakable confidence in the enlightenment of the Buddha. And you see some teachings from yourself, how true they are, and then this confidence will be the result. So it's a natural thing. And then the second one, unshakable confidence in the Dhamma. So that's what we learned here. Arahant Sariputta Bhante explained, Dhamme avicchapasado, right? And then the third one, unshakable confidence in the Sangha, right? So those are the first three factors that gives one assurance of the path, that the practitioner is guaranteed to attain the stages of enlightenment, and also is not going to be reborn in any bad destinations. First three factors, and then the fourth one, Arya Kantani Silani, right? Virtue praised by the noble ones. Okay? Virtue praised by the noble ones. So, first four, and then Sariputta Bhante explained about Samadhitti. That means right view. Right view. Samadhitti. Sariputta Bhante explained the householder. You have this, the noble quality called right view, the understanding about wholesome, unwholesome, married, demarried, karma, understanding about the dependent origination, understanding about the Four Noble Truths, right? So this is your right view. So when you see this right view in yourself, the pain may die down on the spot, right? And also you are having this, the first factor of the Noble Eightfold Path. And number 6. Yes, Pali word Samma Sankappo. So right thought. And didn't we learn about the right thought? We did, right? Yeah. Yeah. The thoughts of compassion, thoughts of loving kindness, thoughts of non-harming, so threefold. And then Sariputta explained about Samma Vacha. That's right.
Right speech.
Right speech. So that's the seventh one. And then Sariputta explained about the eighth one. Samma Kammanto. All these beautiful qualities. Right action. And we learned about that in details, right? Right action. And we got lots of answers about the meaning of abstaining from killing, abstaining from stealing, abstaining from sexual misconduct. So about right action. And then we also discussed about Samma Ajivo as the right livelihood. Didn't we learn that? We did, right? So right livelihood. We learned that some people want to change the job when they learn about right livelihood, right?
Yeah.
Did we learn more?
Yes, we just right.
Yes, Samma Vayam, right? So no, so we already learned about 10. So that is right effort. Okay, so we finished up to Samma Vayama, right? Right effort. And today we are going to learn about 2 more factors, right? So already we learned about 10 factors. Arhan Sariputta explained about these beautiful 10 factors that were found in the Anathapindika, the household Anathapindika's life. He was a noble disciple. He was not an ordinary person. And so we tried to read the Pali, right? Last time? Okay. Can you do the same this time? Starting from here.
Yatha rupaya ko mecha satya Paṭhamaanāthapiṇḍika astava putu kaya samveda
Param
payam
Pata
niraya upapati
Upapajati
tatha rupate
Vicha Sati Nati. Okay, so let's translate that first. See here on the left side, we don't have the translation. So you have to translate now. So Arhan Sariputta explains, Gahapati means household, right? Micha Satya.
Wrong.
Micha means wrong. Satya means mindfulness, right? So wrong mindfulness. Samarnagato means you have, right? So, and Asutava means unlearned. Okay. Putujjano, ordinary person. Okay. So there is this ordinary person who has not learned the teachings of an enlightened one, who doesn't know about the Four Noble Truths, who doesn't know about the dependent origination. So he basically does not have any confidence in the enlightenment of the Buddha because he doesn't know, or he doesn't have like any knowledge about it. So this ordinary person, he has Micha Sati. That means wrong mindfulness. Because of this wrong mindfulness, Kayasa Beda. Kayasa means body. Beda means breakup. At the breakup of the body, Param Marana. Marana means death. After death. Apayang, Duggating, Vinipatang, Nirayang Upapajjati. What does that mean? Apa means bad destination, right? And Niraya, Hell. Upapajjati?
Appear.
He will be born. Okay, this ordinary person, because he has wrong mindfulness, after death, he will be reborn in hell, right? In a bad place. Tatha rupechate micha satinatti. However, householder, you don't have that kind of wrong mindfulness. Now the householder Anathapindika is sick, remember? Now he is lying on the bed and this Arahant chief disciple, right? And sitting beside him and teaching this beautiful Dhamma, saying, you don't need to have any fear. You don't need to have any sadness because you don't have that wrong mindfulness in your life. Okay, now can you read the next part? Attani samanupassato thanaso vedana patipassambeya. However, householder, you have samma sati. You have right mindfulness. When you see right mindfulness in your life, your pains may die down on the spot, right? And you will feel peace. So that is the next noble quality that a noble disciple practices in his life. So what is the samma sati? So that is the 11th one. Right mindfulness. So what is the right mindfulness? Right mindfulness means, Buddha explains, it is the 7th factor of the Noble Eightfold Path. And when Buddha explains about the right mindfulness in the Satāpanna Sutta, the 4 establishments of the mindfulness. So Buddha teaches that we need to develop this mindfulness, this awareness about 4 areas of our life. What is the first one? Kāyanupassana. That means we need to develop mindfulness about the body. But when we learn about mindfulness in this aspect, it always refers to the things as they really are, right? For example, somebody will say, even a thief can steal with sharp mindfulness. Secretly he can walk, right? But that's not the right mindfulness, as Buddha explains. This right mindfulness always leads to the growth of wholesome qualities. Why? Because this right mindfulness always gives you the opportunity to see the truth of life. So in this case, to see the truth of the body. Kāyanupassana. So, and then Buddha mentions about some techniques of mindfulness. Do you remember those techniques? Like breathing. Mindfulness of breathing is one of those techniques to develop mindfulness about the body. And then the mindfulness of postures, right? Mindfulness of the day-to-day activities, right? Mindfulness of postures is the iriyapata. Mindfulness of day-to-day activities is sampajanya, awareness. And then mindfulness on the impurities of the body. So you contemplate on the impure parts of the body. 32 impure parts of the body, and that's another technique of mindfulness, developing the mindfulness about the truth of this life in order to end suffering. So all these techniques of mindfulness lead to ending suffering. And then the mindfulness of the 9 cemetery contemplations, right? So those are the altogether there are 14 techniques of mindfulness. So that is about the Kāyanupassana. Then Buddha teaches about the second aspect of the right mindfulness. which is called Vedanānupassana, mindfulness of feelings. So first one is mindfulness of the body, and the second one is mindfulness of the feelings. And what does Buddha teach there? Buddha teaches in order to end suffering, you develop your mindfulness about different feelings when they arise in your life. So how to develop this mindfulness? Buddha teaches Sukhang Vedanang Vediyamano Sukhang Vedanang Vediyamiti Pajanati. You are mindful when a happy feeling arises in you. You are mindful of it and you are aware of it. You understand, okay, now a pleasant feeling, happy feeling has arisen in me. Instead of being carried away by the happy feelings in your life or being intoxicated by the happy feelings in your life, you are just aware of the arising of it. And if you are aware of the arising of that happy feeling, you can also be aware of the passing away of the happy feeling. And you also understand the impermanence of feelings. You know that this will pass away. It's not good for me to hold on to this happy feeling, because if I am going to be attached or hold on to this happy feeling, when it passes away, I will be sad. So this mindfulness eventually helps you to develop wisdom as well, like insight. So, and it starts with this awareness, this mindfulness. And then Buddha teaches we need to develop mindfulness when a painful feeling arises. You are aware of it. Okay, now a painful feeling has arisen in me. Also, when a neutral feeling has arisen, we have to be mindful. Okay, now a neutral feeling has arisen in me. And all these feelings arise dependent on contact, either eye contact, ear contact, or nose contact, tongue contact, body contact, or mind contact. So it's a beautiful thing. Like before these feelings delude us, right? We understand everything about these feelings, how they arise, and whether this feeling arose depending on eye contact, ear contact, and how this happened. And so, okay, this is how this feeling has arisen in me. So definitely then this is a production of impermanent things. The union of the three things is the contact. For example, if it has arisen dependent on eye contact, you know that there are three impermanent things behind this feeling. And what are they? Impermanent eye, there is an impermanent eye, there is an impermanent visual object, and there is this impermanent consciousness. And this impermanent things has produced this feeling. So then feeling is not going to be permanent. So it's the mindfulness leads to great wisdom eventually. But if we are not mindful, we are not going to develop wisdom, because lack of mindfulness means that there is this access for many unwholesome qualities. Lack of mindfulness. So that is the mindfulness of feelings. It doesn't end there. Buddha teaches then you can go into more details of mindfulness of feelings. Then Buddha encourages us to see which category these feelings belong to. And that is also part of the mindfulness. And then you differentiate between these feelings. Okay, now a pleasant feeling, happy feeling has arisen in me, and this is not a worldly feeling. This is a spiritual happy feeling. During meditation, during jhanas, you still feel happy, joyful. And that happiness surpasses all the worldly pleasures, and you are aware of it. When a happy feeling arises dependent on worldly pleasures, you are mindfulness of it. Okay, now happy when you eat something delicious, right? When you hear something beautiful music, and then you understand, okay, now a happy feeling has arisen, but this is worldly. This is a worldly happy feeling. So like that, you categorize them into the worldly feelings and spiritual feelings. And every time with that mindfulness, amazing insight is followed. And you understand all the feelings arise dependent on impermanent contact. So these feelings are also subject to change. When the contact changes, feeling changes too. So there is no me, no I am, no myself. I cannot hold on to any feeling saying this is my feeling and I want to be with this feeling. No, it's because they are a production of impermanent conditions. So this whole mindfulness and wisdom is called Samma Sati, right mindfulness about feelings. And then Buddha teaches about the third one, the right mindfulness. So this mindfulness about the different mental states is called Chittanupassana. This is a beautiful thing, like not a single part of life is missing when you study this right mindfulness teaching. All the aspects of life, each and every aspect of life is covered. So then you don't allow any unwholesome things to enter your mind because you are paying attention to each and every thing in your life. Remember in the Kaya mindfulness practice, Buddha teaches about the mindfulness, practice of mindfulness about day-to-day activities, and Buddha teaches about how to be mindful while eating, while wearing clothes, while doing things in life, while walking forward, while walking backward, right? While looking around. So it's about being mindful, right? And then mindfulness about the different mental states. Buddha teaches here, saragang ma chittang, saragang chittanti pajanati. When there is a desire in the mind, craving in the mind, lust in the mind, you are aware of it. Vitaragang ma chittang, vitaragang chittanti pajanati. When you have a mind free of desires, free of craving, you are aware of it. Maybe you have a generous mind at the time, right? And then sadosang va chittang, sadosang chittanti pajanati. Again, you are mindful when you have an angry mind. Okay, now I have an angry mind. You are mindful of it. If you are mindful of it, then you know how to deal with it. You know this is an unwholesome quality, then you use your wisdom. If you are mindful, then you can use your wisdom. If we are not mindful, we cannot use our wisdom because we are going to be handled by that anger. Anger is going to overpower us. Anger is going to control our life, not the mindfulness, not the wisdom. But if we use wisdom, if we use mindfulness to recognize it, to be aware of what is happening inside the mind, then we get an opportunity to work on it, to abandon it basically. And we will investigate about that anger, how this anger arose in the first place. It is because of a sound of somebody. It is because of misunderstanding or whatever, right? You get that opportunity. So you are aware of it. And if you have a mind free of anger, a mind of loving kindness, you are mindful of it. So like that during different states of the mind. And during meditation, if you have a mind with lots of hindrances, defilements during meditation, and you are aware of it. So you don't get like discouraged, you don't get upset about those, you still practice mindfulness. So like that, there are about 40 or 16 mental states of the mind. Buddha explained one by one, and we are aware of those mental states, and you develop mindfulness of the mind, Chittanupassana. That's the meaning. And then there is another aspect of right mindfulness, which is Dhammanu Passana. So Kayanupassana, Vedananupassana, Chittanupassana, and Dhammanupassana. Dhammanupassana means practicing mindfulness about wisdom factors. In there, Buddha teaches about how to practice mindfulness about 5 hindrances, how you recognize them when they arise, and how you practice your mindfulness to abandon them, about 5 hindrances. And also about mindfulness about 5 aggregates of clinging, Paṭhamaanāthapiṇḍika, and mindfulness about 6 sense bases, ayatana, mindfulness about the 4 noble truths, mindfulness about the 7 enlightenment factors. So that's about right mindfulness, right? So developing this beautiful, noble quality called right mindfulness, which leads to the growth of lots of wholesome qualities, and which leads to the wisdom in life. So Arahant Sariputta Bhante explained about this and saying, householder Anathapindika, you are very lucky because you have this right mindfulness in your life, not the wrong mindfulness. Wrong mindfulness leads to the unwholesome qualities. Right mindfulness leads to the wholesome qualities. Then Arahant Sariputta Bhante explains about the last one. Not the last one, I think. We have few more. Okay, can you read the Pali now?
Samadhina samana asutara
Nirang upapajjati tatha rupo te micha samadhi natti. Okay, now Arahant Sariputta Bhante explains about micha samadhi, wrong concentration. Micha samadhi. So Arahant Sariputta Bhante explains that an ordinary person has wrong concentration. That's a concentration, but it's wrong. As a result, after death, he will be reborn in hell. That's dangerous, right? But householder, you don't have that wrong concentration in your life. And next paragraph. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So Sariputta Bhante teaches householder, however, you have right concentration, samma samadhi. So that is the number 12, right concentration. Noble disciples have right concentration. Ordinary people have wrong concentration. So wrong concentration is always to do with 5 hindrances. When the mind is occupied with thoughts of sense desires, angry thoughts, regretful, remorseful thoughts, restless thoughts, doubtful thoughts, with those unwholesome thoughts, when the mind is occupied with those, lots of thoughts about these unwholesome things, about worldly pleasures, desires, about anger, right? And some people like think hours and hours about these thoughts. And there is some kind of unification in the mind, focus in the mind about those unwholesome qualities. That's kind of a concentration, but it's the wrong concentration. It is not beneficial. It's also kind of a unification in the mind based on that unwholesome object. So samma samadhi is different, right? Samma samadhi means, okay, What leads to the Samma Samadhi? Samma Sati leads to Samma Samadhi. Right mindfulness leads to right concentration. So when those techniques of right mindfulness are practiced, like for example, breathing, mindfulness of breathing, right? So you practice mindfulness of breathing, you focus on your natural breathing, and then the 5 hindrances are abandoned. You can peacefully meditate, focusing on that wholesome object. Your meditation is not bothered by sense desires, angry thoughts, restlessness, regret, remorse, or doubts. You don't have any of those unwholesome things as obstacles in your mind. They are gone. And your mind is very well focused on your object. You can meditate well. And that's when you experience the concentration, the unification of the mind based on wholesome object of mindfulness.
Is samadhi, is that always during meditation, or samadhi outside of meditation?
Unification of the mind can be gained anytime, but to recognize it as a factor of the Noble Eightfold Path under the right samadhi, it should be always either first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, or fourth jhana. But apart from that, somebody who is practicing for the first jhana will have some different levels of unification of the mind. It's not impossible. But to recognize it as the right samadhi, it should be either first jhana, or second jhana, or third jhana, or the fourth jhana.
So mindfulness that would be separate from samadhi, or is there some?
Yeah, mindfulness leads to samadhi. Mindfulness is the supporting factor for the samadhi. Samadhi is kind of a result of the some well-developed mindfulness, right?
If someone's more focused on their work, for example, painting or their creative work, what is that?
That's you can call the sampajanya, mindfulness and awareness of the day-to-day activities. Remember we learned about that, and you are aware of the movements of your hand and things like that, and basically you use your mindfulness about your activity, about the movements of the limbs, in order to block your mind from unwholesome qualities. So if you don't have mindfulness of that activity, while you are painting, you can think angry thoughts about somebody, or you can have greedy thoughts. It's because you are not mindful of that activity, current activity. But if you are mindful of your activity, you know when unwholesome things trying to enter, you can prevent. You can block them because you have mindfulness. That's called sampajanya. Okay. So this is about right concentration. So unification of the mind, that unification is developed based on a wholesome object. It can be like loving kindness meditation, qualities of the recollection, the qualities of the Buddha, all wholesome objects. Then Arahant Sariputta Bhante explains about Miccha Jnana and Samma Jnana. So Sariputta Bhante explains, householder, an ordinary person has Miccha Jnana, wrong knowledge. Wrong knowledge. Because of this wrong knowledge, the ordinary person after death will be reborn in hell, in a plane of misery. But you don't have such a wrong knowledge. Rather, you have Samma Jnana. This is also beautiful. So, right knowledge. This is the 13th factor. This is the wealth. This is the real wealth earned by our Sotāpanna. He was a very rich person in the city of Savatthi. He had the ordinary wealth as well, right? He purchased the Jeta's garden for the Buddha and the Sangha with his own money, spreading gold coins all around the property. He was extremely rich with ordinary wealth as well. And now he is rich with spiritual wealth. Arya Dhana. Arya Dhana means spiritual wealth. Dhana means wealth. The ordinary wealth, can we take it to our next life?
No.
No, we have to leave it behind when we go. You have to give it to somebody else, or somebody else will steal it from you. Who knows? But this spiritual wealth will follow you like a never departing shadow. And then in your new life, you will still have the support of this spiritual wealth earned in your previous life. Isn't that beautiful that we have something that doesn't leave us when we go from life to life? This is the great wealth. And somebody during today's children Dhamma class asked what type of money we use in heaven. And there was a conversation about credit cards, debit cards, and all these things. I told them, no need money for heaven. Everything is free. And they asked, free? Everything? How? I told them, because before you go to heaven, you earn money here. You earn the spiritual wealth. What is the spiritual wealth? You earn merit. That's called punya. And that is the thing you are going to use in heaven, not this money. This money, Buddha teaches, this wealth, ordinary wealth, it's subject to destruction by flooding, by the fire, and the thieves can steal it. You know, there are lots of dangers for the ordinary wealth. Buddha teaches the punyang chore duhara. Thieves cannot steal the merit. That's the only thing, right? That's going to help us when we pass on to our next life. So, and then another kid asked, so how about schools? You have to go to schools in here? Then I told them, no, there are no schools there. So happy, they were so happy. So yeah, so that's the everything free world, right? In heaven, everything is from your merit. Whatever you earn merit here by giving and sharing, by volunteering, by helping others, by taking care of the parents, by helping anybody, you know, and then by practicing, good things, practicing precepts, practicing meditation, you earn merit by worshipping the relics of the Buddha, by worshipping the stupas, by making offerings to the stupas, relics, you earn merit, and that's your wealth in heaven.
Bhante?
You don't need money. Yes, please ask.
Yeah, so Paṭhamaanāthapiṇḍika, he must have had some very good previous lives also for him to be born human, to get material wealth and also spiritual wealth in one life. His previous lives must have been pretty special.
Yeah, isn't that unbelievable? For somebody to have all this in one life, that's a great fortune, right?
Yes, very. He must have had some very, very good lives prior to this life.
Yeah, we can understand this is the result of his previous giving, right? Buddha teaches the generous people in past lives become the wealthiest people in present life. Did you get that? The
Yes.
very, very generous people in past lives become the wealthiest people in present life. But wealthiest people in this life Not all of them are going to be wealthiest people in the next life. No. You have to be generous again in this life. Then only you will be wealthy in your future lives. You were very rich because of your previous generosity. But if in this life, if you don't practice generosity, you are going to lose everything when you die. There can be a very rich people in the present life. As soon as he leaves this body, he is reborn in a new life, can be without anything.
I think too, Bandit, that giving up, like being very generous in life, teaches you to give up things, like give up material things that they don't matter. I think that's what I get from the lesson from the Buddha about generosity is it teaches you to let go.
Let go, yeah, practicing detachment. And it starts with this little giving and sharing, the kind act. Detachment starts with that. And then it leads to eventually you practice letting go of all the defilements of the mind. And that letting go, it starts with letting go of and giving up of the material things. We will discuss about the last two factors after the meditation. Now you get the time for meditation. Okay? Virikita Bhante is leading the meditation. Aran Sariputta Bhante explained about Sammāñāna, saying householder, you have Sammāñāna, you have right knowledge. So you don't need to be afraid of your rebirth. And when you think about your the assurance in your life, your pain will disappear. You will be healthy. You will have strength. So Sammāñāna, right knowledge means the knowledge of the Four Noble Truths. So because the householder Anathapindika was already a stream enterer who has attained the first stage of enlightenment, he has this initial knowledge about the Four Noble Truths. Knowledge about suffering, knowledge about the cause of suffering, knowledge of about the end of suffering, and knowledge about the path to end suffering. Four Noble Truths. So that is his jnana.
Could there be some overlap between Nama and Dhamma? Is there some overlap between those two?
Jnana and
Dhamma.
Dhamma, in many places, Dhamma means the Buddha's teachings. And jnana means you have to understand the Buddha's teachings in order to have Sammāñāna, right? So it's your jnana, your knowledge about the Four Noble Truths. The Dhamma about the Four Noble Truths should come from an enlightened Buddha. And when you understand it, then you gain jnana. It's yours, Sammāñāna. So that is the knowledge about the Four Noble Truths. So he already had that knowledge. He was a stream enterer. So do you remember Samma Ditti is also about knowledge of Four Noble Truths? So what happens is this, with that right view, you start the path to understand more about the Four Noble Truths. So in every stage, in the first stage of enlightenment, the knowledge about the Four Noble Truths, that means your right view improves. It grows. And when you reach the second stage of enlightenment, your right view still improves. It grows. You understand more things about life. When you reach the third stage of enlightenment, your right view still grows. So the right view means in the initial stage, it's not the entire knowledge. It's not the complete knowledge of the Four Noble Truths. It's just the basic knowledge. And with the help of the factors of the Noble Eightfold Path, that knowledge grows. So Sammāñāna is always a growing thing along with the stages of enlightenment. And when the practitioner attains the last stage of enlightenment, which is the arahantship, the Sammāñāna is completed. You have realized everything about the Four Noble Truths. Your knowledge is completed. You are waiting for that? Everybody, everybody is waiting for that. Everybody's dream is that, right? So, for some people to attain that complete knowledge of the Four Noble Truths, they came in the morning, and the knowledge was completed in afternoon, same day. The most fortunate people who walked on this earth before us. So there was this one boy, he became a monk at the age of 7. This very same day he got ordained, he attained the complete knowledge of Sammanya. When they attain, yeah, they know when they attain the first stage of enlightenment, and Buddha explains how they know. They can see their own qualities in their life. Yeah. And when they attain the second stage of enlightenment, they know that. When they are fully liberated, they know that, and they claim, Kina Jati, I have ended rebirth. This is my final birth. I am bearing the final body. There is no more rebirth for me. I have achieved the end of suffering. So they can see that. They're not going to go for another life. Yeah. So it's a gradual path. That's everybody's goal, right? To attain one day the complete knowledge of the Four Noble Truths, and then to achieve the next one. What is the next one? Okay. Yatarupaya ko gahapati micha vimuttiya samannagato asuto aputo jano. Arahant Sariputta Bhante teaches the Dhamma. Householder, the ordinary person who has wrong freedom or wrong liberation, micha vimutti. Because of that, he will be born in hell or in plane of misery after death. But you are fortunate because you don't have micha vimutti, wrong freedom. You have samma vimutti. You have right freedom, right liberation. So that's the 14th factor. Right liberation. Okay, so when somebody attains the samma jnana, and that person attains the right liberation as well. So what is the right liberation of a stream enterer, of a Sotāpanna? Because now this household Anathapindika is still a Sotāpanna. Still he has attained only the first stage of enlightenment, but he still has the right liberation. So that means he is liberated from the first 3 fetters. That's his liberation. That's his liberation. The once returner's liberation is that he has liberated from the first 3 stages. The liberation of the non-returner is that he is liberated from the first 5 lower fetters. The liberation of an arahant who has completed the journey is liberated from all the 10 fetters that bind somebody to this existence. So he is liberated from first 5 lower fetters and then the higher fetters, total 10. That's liberation. And also liberation is referred to, the arahant's liberation is referred to the liberation from craving. He's liberated from all sorts of craving in life. Craving for visual objects, he's liberated. He's liberated from craving for sounds, craving for smells, craving for tastes, craving for tangibles, and craving for thoughts. He's liberated from. He's liberated from kama tanha, bhava tanha, vibhava tanha. He's liberated from the craving for sense pleasures, craving for existence, craving for non-existence. 3 types of craving. So Sariputta Bhante teaches that Anathapindika, you have right freedom, right liberation. Seeing in yourself that right freedom, that pain may die down on the spot. So then what happened?
And then Anathapindika's pain died down on the spot. Then he served Sariputta and Ananda from his own dish. When Sariputta had eaten and washed his hand and bowl, Anathapindika took a low seat and sat to one side. Venerable Sariputta expressed his appreciation to him with these verses. Whoever has faith in the realized one, unwavering and well-grounded, whose ethical conduct is good, praised and loved by the noble ones, who has confidence in the Sangha and correct view, they are said to be prosperous, their life is not in vain. So let the wise devote themselves to faith, ethical behavior, confidence, and insight into the teaching, remembering the instructions of the Buddhas. After expressing his appreciation to Anathapindika with these verses, Sariputta got up from his seat and left. Then Ananda went up to the Buddha, bowed, and sat to one side. The Buddha said to him, "So, Ananda, where are you coming from in the middle of the day?" "Sir," Venerable Sariputta advised the householder Anathapindika in his way and that. Sariputta is astute, Ananda. He has great wisdom, since he can realize the 4 factors of stream entry in 10 respects.
Sadhu, sadhu,
Sadhu,
sadhu.
sadhu.
So we were learning about those 10 respects of stream entry. So the 4 factors of stream entry. So when Buddha teaches about the stream enterer who has attained the first stage of enlightenment, Buddha always highlights these 4 factors of a stream enterer. Sotāpanna, right? Sotāpanna. So in this special Dhamma discussion, Sariputta Bhante analyzed those 4 factors of a stream enterer into 10 respects. So Buddha said, because of great wisdom of Arahant Sariputta Thero, he was able to explain the meaning of these 4 factors of a stream enterer in 10 factors. So we have total 14, and the first 4 factors. So these 4 factors are explained in 10. That's what the Buddha said. The first 4 factors are explained in great details with the last 10. So that means what we were learning about the factors of a stream enterer who has attained the first stage of enlightenment and who has forever escaped from all the bad destinations. He will never be born in hell, animal world, or ghost world. He will be born in heaven or human world and definitely attain stages of the Nibbana, end of suffering, liberation in maximum 7 lives. That fortunate he was, right? And so this beautiful stanza, our teacher Loku Swamin Wahanse, every time when he teaches a sutta with this, Loku Swamin Wahanse encourages people and the monks to memorize it. So you can also try to memorize it. This is a beautiful set of verses. Can you read after me? Yassa saddha tathagate
Yassa sattha adate.
achala suppatitthita
Jana supate.
Silancha yassa kalyanam
Srirancha yassa karyana.
Arya kantang pasansitam
Arya kanta samsita.
Sanghe pasado yassapti
Samse pasad yassati.
Uju bhutancha dassanam
Uju bhutancha.
Adaliddoti tang ahu Amogham tassa jivitang
Amoga tassaji.
Tasma saddhancha silancha
Tasma sattvancha siddhancha.
Pasadang
Asādam
Dhamma Dassanam
Dhammadas
Anuyunjetha Medhavi
Anuyunjeta Medhavi
Sarang Buddhana Sasanam.
Sarang Buddha Sāsana.
Okay, so this is the beautiful. So this is the Anumodana after the Dana. This is the Anumodana. See? When Sariputta Thero had eaten and washed his hand and bowl, Anathapindika took a low seat and sat to one side. Or before that, Anathapindika's pain died down on the spot after listening to this Dhamma. Right? He got well. He felt so healthy. His pain disappeared. Then he served Sariputta, Arahantero and Anandatero from his own dish. So somebody brought his breakfast meal and then he offered it to the Arahant Sariputta Thero and Ananda Bhante. And then he took a low seat and sat down to one side, right? After serving food. And then as the Anumodana Gata, Sariputta Arahantero, see, Imahi Gatahi Anumodi. This is the appreciation verses, right? So, yeah, if you can write down this, you can try to memorize this Pali. And yeah, the meaning is whoever has faith in the Buddha, unwavering and well-grounded, achala supatithita, right? Silancha yasa kalyana, whose ethical conduct, the virtuous behavior, the precepts, right? Well kept. These precepts are praised and loved by the noble ones. Who has confidence in the Sangha, the community of monks. And Ujjabhutanta Dassanam, your view is straight, right view. You don't have wrong views. And that person is called Adaliddo Titangahu. He is called the rich person. He's not poor. Adaliddo means he's not poor. He is a rich person. Amogantasa Jivitang. His life is not in vain. His life is a precious life, like well lived. Let the wise people devote themselves to faith in the enlightened one, virtuous conduct, confidence in the Sangha, and insight into the Dhamma. Right? Remembering the instructions of the Supreme Buddha. Sadhu. It's not about not having thoughts. You still have the meditation object in your mind, but you don't deliberately, the thoughts connected to your meditation object flows into your mind. That's the meaning of avitakkang avicharang samadhijang piti sukhang dutiya jhanang upasampajja. So in the first jhana, in order to maintain your concentration, you are fighting with the hindrances. So hindrances are coming and then you lose your meditation object. And then you fight back and then you work hard to abandon those hindrances like sense desires, angry thoughts, restlessness, sleepiness, drowsiness. You fight against them and you try to push them away and try to bring your meditation back, right? And you have this continuous struggle and you deliberately make an effort to keep the meditation object in the mind. But Buddha teaches when you go to the second jhana, you don't have to do that struggle anymore. That's the meaning of avitakkang avicharang samadhijam piti sukha. You still have the meditation object. Let's take the breathing meditation for example. When you practice for the first jhana, in the beginning, it's not easy. You lose the concentration, you lose the focus on breathing because hindrances attack you. So you keep working, right? And then you come to the first jhana, but you need to great effort to keep your meditation object in the first jhana. But when you go to the second jhana, because you pass one stage, your mindfulness is sharper now. It's kind of well established because you are passing the first jhana. When you go to the second jhana, your mind it's relaxed. You don't need to make that deliberate effort to keep the meditation object as in the first jhana. Very clearly, you are not giving up the thoughts of loving kindness. You still cultivate, you still spread thoughts of loving kindness within these jhanas. Like, you don't drop the meditation object. Okay, remember this. The concentration of the mind at every stage depends on your meditation object. If you drop the meditation object, you are dropping everything. You earn the concentration with the support of the meditation object. If you drop it, then what is there? Switching to another means switching to another meditation object. That's fine. That's what we do. Like, for example, you gain the concentration, samadhi with the loving kindness meditation, and then within the jhana, you switch it to insight, vipassana. And then you start contemplating on the impermanent, suffering, and non-self nature of the 5 aggregates of thinking. Still, you have a meditation object. Even in the very advanced samadhi called Arahata Phala Samadhi, still there is a perception. Buddha teaches. Still there is a perception. Even in the highly advanced samadhi, it's not blank. It's not blank. It's not empty. It's not about emptiness. There is a perception. There is this wholesome object in the mind. Because you start with the wholesome object, and you should end with the wholesome object.